Good afternoon, everyone, to the survivors. And I fully agree. I mean, was a very inspiring. I think it has been a very inspiring afternoon, not only with the previous panel, but also with the colleague from Novartis talking about sales rep, because we have discussed a lot about them, but never focused on specifically on what they do and what they are supposed to do in the future. And the previous panel on innovation in medicine, like precision medicines. I was supposed to be this morning. Where is Danny? I think he left, the clever guy. Now in the afternoon, it's okay. I have less time, and being Italian is a big challenge for me. So I will try to really condense what I want to share with you today. I've heard a lot personally about multi-channel and omni-channel, and my aim today is to share with you what is going on in Sandoz and what is the plan. And many of these elements that we have been discussing in these 2 days, I think, are reflected in this journey at Sandoz. Just a couple of slides to share a little bit about Sandoz for two main reasons. One reason is because I have to, and this has nothing to do with the legal. I should stop doing this joke on legal because it can be risky. But the second point, that is the important one, is, I mean, this is a complex business. And I've realized how this business is complicated when I joined the company almost 5 months ago. There are three dimensions of levels of complication. The one is the geographical complication. I mean, we serve 500 million across the globe in more than 100 markets. And all of them, believe me, are important markets. Usually, I mean, I was used to have, 10, 11, 15 markets, the main ones, and then the long tail. I mean, here the long tail is, I would say, at least 50 markets. But the other 50 is really the important ones. So first level is the geographical coverage. We need to be in every single market. And of course, we have a big focus on US and Europe, but still, again, coverage that has to be really, really big and wide. The second element of complication is products portfolio. It's known as a generic company. It's going towards a kind of biosimilar company, but generic, biosimilar in different specialty covers really a broader spectrum of treatments when it comes to patient and when it comes to target audience. Because it's GPs, it's specialty, a lot of people. I mean, if you treat 500 million patients, imagine how many physicians you have to engage when it comes to customer engagement. The third dimension of complication is that we don't engage healthcare professionals only, but we engage pharmacists, and this can be a little bit okay. But then there's a third leg of the business that is addressing, is going through tenders, is going through relationship with wholesalers, dealers, distributors, e-commerce, OTC. I mean, there is a variety of different touch points and target audience. So it's, I was kind of impressed, and I'm still on my learning curve. Now, when I joined the company, the situation was this, and this is I would say the multi-channel engagement, right? So we discussed a lot about multi-channel. Also, a former colleague from Sandoz, now in other companies. Honestly, my view is that if I should define the differences between multi-channel and omni-channel, to me, multi-channel is really product-based. So very much focused on product and messages that you want to send to the customers. Omni-channel is more moving towards a customer-centric approach. That means this is not a one-way communication. We collect data from customers. We adapt, customize, and tailor our data to improve our communication. And in the end of the day, to better communicate, because again, as I said yesterday morning in the panel, we want to deliver the right message to the right customer in the right channel. So what is happening now is that we are moving from multi-channel to omni-channel. And in my view, this is possible. Of course, this doesn't happen overnight. It's a medium, long-term journey. It's quite ambitious as a journey, and it's a bumpy road. because it has a lot to do with change management. On top of the technology, on top of the, let's say, processes, on top of the differences in the market, it's really about people. It's about mindset change in people. It's about upskilling people. And we know that this industry is the most traditional, but also reluctant to change. That is kind of, possible among the different industries. And I went through, before my career in pharmaceutical, I went through many industries. So it's complicated in my view, and these are the three main pillars. The omnichannel journey is based, first of all, on technology. And on the positive note, I mean, in Sandoz now, beside the different levels of complications in terms of coverage, in terms of product portfolio and target audience, this company now is in the middle of a spin-off from Novartis. That means we will be, in few months, a standalone legal entity, fully, playing the game in generics and biosimilar markets without the big brother of Novartis in looking our back, let's say. And this is kind of, bringing a lot of course, energy and enthusiasms in the company, but also requires a lot of effort. Three main pillars. On the positive note, when I joined, I've already kind of found some legacy. And one of these, legacy is the hub. I think one important element, if you want to go on an omnichannel transformation in your organization, you need to have a central place where you plan to deliver content, campaigns, marketing communication strategy. And this is the hub that we have in Sandoz, where the idea is on top of the master asset creation, on digital asset creation that I believe should be done, but at a specific kind of level, is really based on heavily on marketing automation. So rather than building content, we build customer journeys. And we are in the very beginning of this journey, of course. The second element is data. And this is, I think, this is more on the negative note, in a way that data culture in a pharmaceutical company is quite, is very much into R&D, and this back to my nice chat yesterday I was saying, I did my prediction. I'm not, I can see Paul here is the predictions guy, I'm not. But my predictions was we will have more and more data scientists and engineers in the commercial part of the organization. This is true, it's happening, but it takes time to create a culture of data, a culture of measurement. I've heard many times in these 2 days people saying, in my organization or in the markets, people usually celebrate when they launch a campaign. That's the reality. They celebrate when the campaign is launched. And then I always say, and then what happens next? What do you measure? How do you measure the impact of this campaign? And I'm very straightforward in that. I say, how do you measure impact on sales? Not the open rate, the click-through rate, average time spent on any digital campaigns. And there is no answer for that. So we need to create a data culture. It requires time and specific and skilled resources that are quite rare in the market, especially because if I'm a data scientist or a data engineer, why should I join the pharmaceutical industry? And believe me, this is a burning platform for us. In my previous employment, I was every time close to hire one of these guys, and then in the last mile, say, no, well, I'm going for an energy company, because, especially the new generation, they are really driven by a purpose of, being, kind of, I don't know, towards this green kind of transformation, or any other purpose that they feel they belong to. And the pharmaceutical is seen a little bit like controversial, right? Yeah, it was to treat patients, but this is not R&D, it's more commercial. It's a matter of selling stuff, selling drugs, and convince physicians to that. Anyways, this is the second pillar. It's very important, it's crucial, and it's maybe, I think, where the gap is bigger. And then the third pillar that you can see here, it's really change management, as I said. So the revolution and the big change is happening in global, and very often markets are not aware, or they feel this like, an intrusion, or kind of we are invading their space, or we want to control them. Think about, again, complexity in a company where 100 markets are almost independent. And this is not, I don't believe Sandoz is unique. I think on average, in this industry, there is a big tradition of fragmentation and independency of markets. That means it's okay, it's been like this, but now we need to go to the other extreme. We need to centralize, harmonize, not because we want to control markets, but because we want to leverage on specific assets, because without this specific asset, we cannot move down the omnichannel transformation journey. As I said, and sorry, maybe I need just sending back this. Speaking to this audience, I'm talking about the components, the omnichannel, the customer centricity. But if you can see in the bottom of the slide, because I use this slide with commercial and Salesforce and regions head, I say this will increase coverage and frequency. And I will get back to this point in my final slide on the learnings. But this is also another important component in transformation itself. When you speak with the commercial organization, you need to speak their language. And the only language they understand is impact on sales. Other than that, bullshit. Impact on sales very often means coverage and frequency, even though these are two KPIs very old, because it's a lot about Salesforce, right? Coverage and frequency. Well, the message now is a little bit more rounded, saying that I'm going around saying that the omnichannel transformation can be seen also as a digital transformation, as not the aim to replace sales rep, but just to give them the additional power to increase coverage and frequency with the digital touch points. And of course, it's a lot about knowing more about our customers, knowing more about their content consumptions. Commercial people doesn't get this message. Content consumptions, their habits, target segmentation, attitudinal segmentation, they don't care. They want to know if this kind of transformation will bring an impact on sales. And in these 2 days, there were discussion about, yes, the KPIs, those are different, we have new KPIs. Well, I also have my way to measure this impact on sales that I'm not going to share with you today, by the way. I will leave you with this kind of dilemma. But the final destination of this data story, and now we are full of this hype, like data lake, the CDP customer data platform, 360 customers. We need to show impact on sales. If we bring the omnichannel transformation, if we build all the assets that we need to do this and change the way people are working in global and in the markets, we need to show more prescriptions into our company. That's the only language the commercial and senior leadership will understand. As I said, I think the big transformation starts from the hub or any kind of center of excellence. Be ready for this, because if you go around preaching that you will come with something new, that the omnichannel is bringing customer journeys, every market, through marketing automation, it can be Salesforce Marketing Cloud, any kind of platforms, you will say, we will have journeys. 80% of these journeys will be built in global, and then markets will be still in the driving seat, not only pushing the button, but localizing the journey. They can customize this journey and improve their customer engagement. But then be ready for that, because the moment you start, and this is, I've kind of experienced this on my skin, they will come and say, okay, this journey is beautiful, it's going great, what's the next? And what's the next? And what after that? So they will be needed. Being Italian, I usually say this is a kind of, you give them a machine gun, but then they need bullets. And if the bullets, if you give them just one bullet or two bullets, and then it's done, they will look at you and say, okay, and now what's next? So the hub or content factory, campaign factory, whatever you want to call it, is there to serve the markets in the new way. And the new way is marketing automation. And marketing automation is in the core of the omnichannel transformation. Now, here you can see all the beautiful things that we do in the hub, but mainly the focus is there, marketing automation. We build mainly customer journey. If markets wants, they come to us, we can also serve them as a shop, and we can build on top of these, like content creation, campaigns, media buying, content optimization, but those are the frills. The core is marketing automation, customer journey building. And this is also the way and the angle you should see the overall transformation. Because very often, I mean, also this morning, I think there was a very interesting discussion on, yes, but if I build content centrally, or I translate content centrally, then markets will also complain. I fully agree, and I fully sustain that we shouldn't get into that level of details with the markets. I don't believe we should create 100% of content for that. I don't believe we should translate content for them or doing any MLR process for them. I think centrally we should build the vehicle, the marketing campaign, and then they can customize the car with, specific kind of steering wheel, colors for the seats, whatever they want. For two main reasons. One, because if I play the game for 100 markets, I will never get all of them in one shot. So I have a lot of kind of rework. And secondly, if you realize how complicated is the business and how fragmented is the business, and then you go around saying that everything will be centralized and you will be driven the car, they will not follow you. They want to stay in the driving seat. So they need to be the owner of the process, the owner of the communication strategy. You will give them the vehicle to do that. For the sake of the time, Darius, what is that? Dario, you are there, yeah. I have 20 minutes now, even less, of course. I will go to this. So the omnichannel transformation has a big impact in the organization, but requires a lot of effort. And my personal opinion, this is not an hype. This is not something, kind of fluffy, or we are moving from. We are hiring a lot of people because we are building the organization from scratch. And I'm doing a lot of this interview with potential candidates. And during one interview, I had this question, right? What is the difference between multi-channel and omni-channel? And then a candidate said, to me, it's the same thing. It's just the new way to call the same thing, in a different way. And I said, no, this is not right. Omnichannel is totally different. Omnichannel is brings a lot of new change and profound changes in the organization. Centralization, that means also more control. Yes, it's true. And usually we shouldn't go around in the organization, especially speaking to the senior leadership, saying that we will control more. But reality and the truth is that if we have a platform where data is harmonized, is centralized, reality is that in a future kind of step, we will be able to compare a sales rep doing the job in Rio de Janeiro with a sales rep doing the job in Beijing or in Rome or in Madrid. And this is exactly what the regions' heads don't want to do, because they don't want to be compared, because markets are different, because the regions are different, because they have different products. In my case, in my company, the same product is even different named in the different markets with different indications and different look and feel. Now, if I put myself in their shoes, I will be more comfortable to be not measure or compare with others. But if I'm the CEO, I want to compare performance in my overall organization across different regions and different markets. And this is where they say harmonized system and data and customer data integration. Standardized process, I think this is, together with change management, the biggest challenge. One of the consequences, one of the prerequisite of the omnichannel is to harmonize CRM. Jesus, this is something that, it's tough to achieve. When I'm saying standardized CRM, I mean that every single country or market should have the same segmentation and targeting and the same number of, let's say, matrix to compare the different target audience. And this is not the reality. Reality is that in the last 15 years in this industry, when we deployed Viva, Salesforce, IQVIA, we had a big negotiation with every single market, and what happened was that every single market customized this CRM to just fulfill their needs. We have 100 different CRMs in the world. That means we don't speak the same language. And if we don't speak the same language, when we create customer journeys or campaigns at the global level and we deliver this campaign, most likely we will address the same campaign to different target audience. That is wrong in the end. They will, of course, introduce as a consequence new ways of working. The governance model is another tricky point. What does this mean? Who is really controlling the campaign? Who is really controlling customer engagement? Is it a central control? Is it a local control? Who is in the driving seat? And again, I believe markets should be in the driving seat, but we should provide them the car. The last point is funding model, budget, money. Who is paying for that? And this is, again, I think, I mean, there is no one-size-fits-all company. I come from a place where this was funded centrally. So if I start doing marketing automation campaigns or customer journeys building centrally, then I should pay centrally. But what if a country X, Vietnam or China, comes to me and asks for a customization or something special? Should they pay, or this is still on central budget? So there is, again, a big discussion in the organization, and it's really a kind of, I think, this will be also a negotiation step, a big negotiation step. I'm now coming to the last slide because my time is over, and then I will be maybe, if I can get a couple of questions. This is my takeaways. To move on in this omnichannel transformation, and don't believe in anyone in this room is in the end of it. I mean, nobody is really in the end of the omnichannel. Every single pharmaceutical company is in some steps of the overall journey. So my first takeaway is senior leadership, strong commitment. There must be, no matter what, a top-down message. There must be a strong mandate for the global team, customer engagement in this case, to say, hey, listen, this is something that has been decided by the senior leadership, you should go for it, because the results will come in the medium long term. In the short term, they will have a lot of pain, they will be overwhelmed, and they will lose control. And they will lose all their local vendors and agencies who were used to work with them, because many of them will be just canceled. The second point is buy versus build. I'm a big fan of buy. I usually say we still produce drugs and pills and not apps or solutions. Why we should do that? Plus, every time that you do something internally and you extremely customize something, you cannot get rid of that. It takes time and a lot of pain again. Data harmonization and compliance needs. Legal plays a big role in that. I will not say more than that. I've already said too much. Affiliates involvement. What's in it for me? So even though they will never see the results in the short run, they should envision the value. And the value is, and this is something that was shared with me by markets, in my experience, so I've experienced this on my skin. The value is, hey, Danilo, you know what? I mean, now beside the marketing automation campaign and everything that is available, the big value we see in this is the ability to turn data into insights. And the only way to turn data into insights is to have a bunch of data scientists working for us. And this bunch of data scientists, they have to be seated in global, because no one in a specific country can have the budget or the effort or the ability to sustain 5, 10, 15 data scientists working on that. So this has to be done centrally. Upskilling people, change management, this is important, and this is the most critical element. To me, it's also a kind of Darwin selection. I mean, at least what I've seen in the past. That means, 15 years or 10 years ago, we were saying, and maybe people did this in this prediction, digital or AI will replace sales rep. No, it's not going to happen. But digital and omnichannel is selecting the right sales rep. That means those who are more confident and familiar with this tool or eager to learn, they stay. The others will leave. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Communication is never enough. We need to communicate every time, because we give for granted that the message comes through, and in global, everyone is aligned. But what about the market? What about people in Brazil, Argentina, in Canada, in US, in China, in Europe? This is something that should never stop, because we need communication. We need to communicate what we expect and the results and what is going on in global. This is what I've learned, and this is, I think, the most important process in the overall transformation. Thank you very much. Can I take the questions? Thank you, Dario. You said only one, yes.
Who was first?
Come on.
Okay, I have just a question regarding incentives, because you just mentioned a key topic. Sales reps care about sales, because almost 100% of their incentives is sales. So do you think that, coming back to the alignment top-down and the transformation that it's really needed for the organization, do you think also from your experience in previous industries that aligning better the incentives for the entire organization towards a transformation, even, you know, it's risky, even finishing sales, just go for a real transformation, would this speed up?
Yes, and this can be done in two different ways. The first one is, yes, I mean, in their scorecard, they should have a kind of measurement. In the past it was called the digital reach, but it has to be also measure their ability to use other channels, eventually to increase the coverage or the frequency, or their ability to engage customers. And this can be easily measured. But the second component that is even more important is that those reps were on the transformation journey, because we were piloting this solution, they were our best ambassador, because they were going around saying, hey, with this solution, with this kind of, having now orchestrating and the omnichannel journeys, I'm selling, I have more customers, and we saw double-digit increase in sales. And back to the KPI, to me, a very simple way is A/B testing. You take one country, you split the country in two, of course, with some rationals, and then in one part of the country, you enable sales rep with the omnichannel tools. In the other part, they do in a traditional way. This is what we did, double-digit sales. Easy.
When you say you enable the reps with omnichannel, what concretely in this example here, where you did the A/B test?
If you have your CRM, let's take Viva, for example. Then they had this timeline of the interactions, and they were able, on their side, to send, on top of rep trigger email, massive email, or in the omnichannel, in the customer journey, you are also triggered as a rep to do a phone call or a visit if a specific action is done, and they were part of this flow. And they were, but not kind of in a passive way, but in an active way.
So the linkage, if I understand, this is really nice. So the linkage between digital marketing and the rep with suggestions for action, and I guess insights where they could just see how maybe HCPs were interacting with other content.
And they have on the tool this 360 view of the customer. Right. So they know at an individual level the kind of message that they have to do, and the content that they want to consume. And this is something new for them. And they were saying, oh, wow. One of the main feedback was, I thought I knew my customers, but that was not right. Because now I know even more, because I know the content they get through the different interaction channels. And this is on Viva. It can be on Viva, can be on Salesforce, on IQVIA, right? This is what I mean. They are part of the flow, and they are not like, in the past, these 2 or 3 cycles. They're in the room, and they get the messages, and then they go. No. With the omnichannel, every week is a cycle, because they can drive back the interaction and ask people in the head office to say, hey, can you modify this campaign, or can you fine-tune this specific message? Oh, and I've experienced this in my previous employment. Yeah.
So my question, actually, it's 2 mini questions. One is, you mentioned the importance of linking everything we do with sales impact. This is speaking leaders' language, and it's a good point. But I don't know how it is in your experience, but typically many campaigns, specifically top of the funnel, would be unbranded, and oftentimes when it's medical education, they're medical, right? And it's very important because it's part of a strategy of a company to go from product to service. Because content that engages is not always the content that sells. So there, what's your experience with working with other attribution kind of metrics that are not, because medical, obviously you can't link it with sales, right? So what would you say to that?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. Not necessarily. In my experience, usually you start with a disease state content to drive them into a commercial content, product content, right? And this was, I think, majority of the journeys we built in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, just to mention a tool, was starting from unbranded content, closing the loop into branded content. And this happens. Of course, I mean, this was, I mean, I think on average time for campaigns were 6 weeks, and we were able to measure the impact on sales after 6 months.
But then maybe that disease state content was, in your case, not classified as medical.
Not?
Not classified as medical.
Well, I don't remember now this
Okay.
detail.
All right, and the other very fast one is I think
But
I
it's
read
not
on your slide that part of the hub was also brand strategy and
Yeah, and that was wrong.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. This
So
was
it's
one of the service provided by the hub before I joined. And now I'm sorry because Evelina left. She was, I mean, I think she left this big legacy, and I'm grateful for that. But one of the things they were doing wrong was replacing the markets in the brand strategy. This triggers basically this connection with the markets because they are not in charge anymore.
And it's specifically the brand teams, right, that would do the brand strategy. They don't need an additional team to do that.
Okay, we are talking about generics. That means in majority of the cases, you don't have brand teams in place anymore. But still, if I'm in Italy, I still, argue that this is my task, right? As a product manager, I want to drive the overall communication strategy. And it has to stay like this.
Fair enough.
And this is perfectly in line with marketing automation because, again, it's providing the vehicle. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.